This is Great Day Sunday with your host, Christina Guerrero.
You know, we often discuss ways of dealing with sickness, whether it's medication or procedures, but what about just prevention? In her book, Healthy Mother, Healthy Child, Texas author Elizabeth Irvine says there's really no quick fix to health for the health of you and your children. It's about creating balance in your everyday life. Beth, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
As I said, Texas author, drove in from Houston. We appreciate you driving in to tell us about your new book. And it's about creating balance. Now, for a lot of people out there, they're thinking, what exactly does that mean?
Thanks for asking. The title is Healthy Mother, Healthy Child, Creating Balance in Everyday Life. And so what the book is really about, a balanced way of living, different ways that you can incorporate health and well-being into your everyday.
Now, I noticed a lot of the book as I went through it and was doing my research on it. There's a lot of emphasis on yoga, and I said earlier that I was really inspired because I did my research, and it talked so much about the health benefits of yoga and yoga really creating that balance in your life. And so I went and did yoga yesterday. So tell us, how does yoga create balance?
Well, yoga is one part of a multifaceted way of creating balance in your life. And through yoga, a lot of people don't understand yoga in a way more than just a physical exercise, which of course that's one part of it. So the physical side of yoga is the breathing and body awareness for me, and the style of yoga that I was taught and that I teach is very much about being aware of your body and your breath. And so when that happens, your body becomes more relaxed, you become more laid back, you become more into your body instead of always working through your head.
Right, exactly. And the pictures that we were just looking at were a lot of children, because this is not just for adults, this is also for your children, creating balance for them as well.
Right.
Yes, how important is it for them?
Well,
do they grasp the concept?
You know, they do, and people ask me this question all the time. Do your children practice yoga? I have 3, and yes, in a word, they do, but they don't. We don't pull out the yoga mats and have a yoga class at home.
Yeah.
So their yoga is,
I would love for you to, if you were my friend, I'd invite you to do that all the time.
So what happens is it's really much more about a lifestyle.
Okay.
So they're more aware of who they are. They're really kids that are comfortable in their own skin. They're aware of what they eat. They're aware of how they feel. All sorts of things that what yoga will do for you, bring an increased awareness in your life. And yes, they do practice the postures too.
Yeah, and it's not just yoga. In your book, you talk about a lot of other things, including nutrition and challenges and those kinds of things. Tell us about those.
Well, I like to say if there's one thing about nutrition that I would teach a child is to teach them how to read a label. Most kids that are 5 or 6 years old can read. So if you teach them to look at a label of anything that they're going to put in their body and say, if that word you can't pronounce it, then there's a really good chance that that ingredient is very natural and maybe it's not the best thing for your body.
Right.
But the idea is really to teach them and let them have the choice, give them the ownership.
And for families at home, why is it so important to create balance? What is the take-home message for creating balance, not just with yourself but also in your household?
Right. Well, I think the take-home message for all the mothers out there that I'm speaking to is that, you know, children are like a thirsty sponge. They absorb whatever is around them. So when mama's happy, everybody's happy.
And that's a good place to be. Is there one thing that you can recommend for families to do at home besides the yoga? Maybe if that doesn't really work for them?
Right. Well, one of the things I like to talk about is family ritual, and one of the best rituals I know is a family meal. If it can happen at supper time, that's great, and if not, you know, any meal or even just a snack and a drink. But setting up a routine and a ritual creates security, it creates predictability, and it's just kind of nice to get to know each other.
Yeah. What a novel idea, getting to know your family. You know, we do talk about balance, and you know, at the very beginning of the segment I talked about medications and procedures and sicknesses. When you create balance in your life, it also helps your immune system. Sicknesses don't come around very often that way.
That's correct.
Because of stress levels and those kinds of things. Yeah.
Right. And I'd like to just briefly tell you about a concept that I talk about. It's called filling up the reservoir. So we have lots of things that fill up our reservoir. So we have our environment. We can't always control what's in our environment.
Right.
We have our physical body, our nutrition, and then we also have our emotional well-being.
And those are all things that we always need to keep in balance. Well, of course, the book is Healthy Mother, Healthy Child by Elizabeth Irvine. You can check out our website for more information. There's some great information on there, healthymotherhealthychild.com. Elizabeth, thank you so much for coming in. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and thanks for inspiring me to do some yoga yesterday. I feel great. I feel great.
Absolutely.